Hello again, and welcome to those that just joined us. Our event will start in around 10 minutes. Our event today is very exciting. We'll be launching the Global Startup Ecosystem Index 2022. After discussing the results and discussing the report, we will then be listening to presentation about the Carrick region, and then afterwards we will be listening to 10 ecosystems from around the world. So see you guys in around 10 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to everyone that's just joining us today. In about 3 minutes, we will be starting the event. So the event will start with an introduction about the new results of the Global Startup Ecosystem Index 2022, as well as how the report was done and our methodology. After that, we will be hearing a presentation from the CAREC region, and then afterwards, we will be listening to 10 great ecosystems from around the world and hearing about their ecosystem. Yeah. Ellie is joining us as well. While we're waiting for everyone to join, feel free to introduce yourself on the chat and speak about your projects or whatever you're working on.
Hello, everyone. Good to connect. We're going to start in 2 minutes. So, to allow you a little bit to maybe introduce yourself in the chat, feel free. I see that, yeah, we have people from Buenos Aires and from Amsterdam and from Austria. So that's absolutely great. It's a good place to connect, kind of like get to know people as well every time that we do this event. We're also hoping to create some connections. Good from Sao Paulo, Yokohama, and good Tanzania. That's great. Really global event, just like we like it. And of course, Turkey. So good. Really nice to see the variety over here. Middle East, Africa, South America, Asia. So that's great. Good. So yeah, we're basically ready to start. I'll tell you, this is a very exciting event for us. This is, of course, the launch of the Startup Link Global Startup Ecosystem Report, happening once a year, and today is this date. The agenda of what we're gonna do is as following. First of all, we're gonna do a short intro about the report. What is it about? How did we do it? What are the sections there, and so on and so on. Then I'm gonna quickly go through the key results, some of the most interesting things that we found from this year. There are some interesting trends happening, and would love to share it with you. And then after that, we have quite a few ecosystem pitches, people from the governments and the public sector that are here, just like a startup pitching their startup ecosystem, their city, to convince you to hopefully arrive and visit and maybe start your startup there or invest there or whatever. So yeah, that's great. So maybe we can, of course, start with Ziv Baida. Ziv is the editor of our report. He really brought it to the next level this year. It's an amazing report. I want to thank Ziv for bringing us to this level. You're really going to enjoy it if you read it. Catherine, by the way, is going to share a link to download the report in the comments so you can access it as well. Yeah, so maybe Ziv, we can maybe just do a quick intro and maybe talk a little bit about what can people expect when they start tackling this very big document. What exactly do you recommend them to basically have a look at?
All right, brilliant. Thank you, Ellie. So a few words about myself first. So Ziv Baida, I'm joining you from Amsterdam, the Netherlands today. I am a data enthusiast and evangelist. I really get excited by extracting insights from data, and that's why I really love this report. I also have a PhD in information management, so it's not only fun, it's also my profession, I would say. I'm a consultant, and this year I've really worked closely with the team at Startup Link to create this report that is now presented to you. So what is this report about? And the index behind it. So Startup Link publishes an annual index ranking the 100 countries that perform best in the startup ecosystems worldwide and 1,000 cities that perform best as startup ecosystems. So it's all about the results that they achieve. And important to say here that this is an objective scoring of each startup based on data. So it's not a subjective decision of someone saying, I think that city X is achieving better results than city Y, or country A better than country B. No, it's really based on the results. And that's why this is really a massive big data analysis exercise that was done here. And the report presents the most important insights. I'm saying most important. Imagine we have here 400 pages of text and tables, but there's much more insight than that even in the underlying data. So how is that done? First, Startup Link collects data about a lot of startups worldwide and measures their performance based on a lot of criteria. And then that data is aggregated to the city level to create a score for the performance of the cities. And then after that, the same is done an aggregation level on the level of the country. So the best performing countries. And very important to understand here, like in every index, in every ranking, it's relative, okay? So you have your score, but the ranking is always relative to the others. So if you increase or decrease in the score in a certain date, in a certain year, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing better or worse than last year. It simply could mean that others are doing better or worse than last year. The country scores are adjusted to population. The city scores are not. And if you're interested in why, go to the methodology chapter and then you can read why. So talking about methodology, let me then say, what can we find in the report? So first is the methodology. If you want to know how the ranking is created, how the scores are calculated, go to the methodology chapter. I really recommend that. It's very interesting. Then comes the key insight section, which is the one that Ellie will go through in a bit. And the rest of the report, well, I don't fool myself. I know many people will not read the whole report. So it's mostly about what are you looking for? So if you're looking to understand what kind of regional power shifts have been this year, for example, did North America perform better than last year? Did Asia rise? Did Europe rise or decline? Those answers are in the regional analysis chapter. Then, if you're interested to know who ranks how, then you go to the tables that provide the ranking of the 100 countries or 1,000 cities, and you will just see the rankings. Next, if you're interested in a specific, and here you can see on the screen those tables. So while I'm talking, Ellie is showing you on the screen the sections that I described. So we have here the rankings. Now, if you're interested in a specific country or in a specific city in a specific country, then go to the country overviews. We have 100 country overviews where you can go to the country that you're looking for, or if you're looking for a city, then search the country of that city. And there you will find the insights about that specific country or city. Next, if what you're interested in is countries that maybe did not qualify to the list of 100 countries, but we think that they have potential to qualify next year, go to the contender ecosystem section, which tells you which countries these may be. Now, if you are thinking about a destination to go as a digital nomad to sit on the beach and enjoy a caipirinha while working, then go to the island cities chapter, which will rank the best ranking island cities. Next, we have the city ranking by population. So that will show you how cities rank in their, let's call it, weight category. So the best cities with population above 10 million, or between 3 and 10 million, etc. So that helps you compare cities within what you would consider to be their expected category of success. And you see that some are really performing better than others. And then we have some alternative indexes. And these provide different perspectives for the rankings. So the first one is ranking countries by absolute power. So I already said that the ranking of countries takes into consideration the population, because otherwise you could never compare Singapore, Estonia, and Israel to, for example, China and India. But in the ranking by absolute power, we don't consider the population, and it will give you the ranking by results. And nevertheless, you will see that a few very small countries perform exceptionally well, even in absolute terms, much better than much bigger countries. Next comes the ranking by subscore. So very importantly, when you read the methodology chapter, you will see that the score of a country is comprised of 3 components. There's the quantity score, the quality score, and the business score. The quantity score basically measures how much startup activity is there in the country. The quality score measures what is the qualitative impact there, how high is the impact of those startups. And the third one measures how entrepreneurship friendly a country is, or a city is, an ecosystem is. And so in this section of ranking by subscores, you can see how countries rank in each of those. And it's interesting to see that some places rank more or less the same in all of them. Others really perform well in one of them, but perform less well in the other. And then it's very interesting to observe what that actually means for the end score, the total score of each ecosystem. Now, the next one is the industry ranking. I know a lot of people are interested in their specific industry, like e-commerce or fintech or hardware and IoT. So if that is the case, we have for you sections dedicated to each and every of those industries. Well, we have 11 of them. The next one is also really interesting, something that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but I think is very interesting: special entities. So what we see is that the special entities, which can be either, let's say, unicorns, exits, or you know, big influencers like Elon Musk. Those can be initiatives or people or companies that when they are present in a certain place, that makes a huge difference for that ecosystem. So the more of those entities you have, the more successful the ecosystem. And so we measure also what is the ranking of countries in producing those special entities. And you will see also here a few surprises of countries that are smaller than others and yet perform quite well, or very well. And then what's also really, what I find most interesting in this part actually, is the is the part where we also look at the pace of change or the pace of growth in number of special entities. Because even if you have a lot of those entities, but the pace of growth of those entities is low, then that would mean something about your prediction for how you will perform in the near future. So you can have in this section some really interesting insights, and I will give you a sneak preview talking about China and the US. So very interesting insights about the pace of growth in those entities. And since I mentioned now China and the US, I believe I forgot to mention before the regional power shifts, the regional analysis section. My favorite, I would say, that's the one where we analyze really how ecosystems perform versus the others. Now, if you're interested in ideas about relocation, where to relocate to, we have some really cute, really interesting case studies about successful ecosystems in various geographies across the globe. Have a look at those and get some inspiration. And maybe the last comment I want to make is that this huge analysis that we have here, more than 400 pages, it's just the tip of the iceberg of the analysis that you can do with the underlying data in the database of Startup Link. So if you're really a data enthusiast and you want to get also more in-depth insights, then I recommend to obtain access to the Pro services, the Pro data sets, which are the more detailed data sets that Startup Link offers to the client, and these will enable you to do your own analysis as you'd like to do by yourself. So, Ellie, I'll hand it over to you, and I'm really excited to hear now the key insights of what has actually happened in the last year.
Thank you so much, Ziv, for this elaborated explanation of the report. Again, 400 pages, so hopefully we made it a little bit easier for people to consume this report. Catherine in the comments has also shared the link of how to reach the report and download it. So hopefully that could be useful for you. And then let's talk a little bit about the key insights. So let me share my screen again. I would just also want to mention that this report was not done just by Startup Link. We really relied on a few very high quality global data partners, Crunchbase, SEMrush, Statista, UNAIDS, Carragher is going to be here, the ELF Innovation Exchange, Meetup, SAP, SAP, Coworker, Indexable, the Next Web. So we have quite a few organizations that have helped with this, and we want to really thank them, in addition to about 100 governments and startup organizations that have also contributed the data to this report. So to them, our thanks. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about the key insights. Of course, this entire report is all about the insights and the rankings, but I will let you know a little bit about the countries and the cities so we can quickly go over them. First of all, unsurprisingly, United States first ecosystem in the world, the first ranked country. The total gap between it and the United Kingdom is 4 times. So the United States is actually very lucky to not only have San Francisco as a super ecosystem, but also a lot of high quality other ecosystems as well. And that's maintaining a very big gap between it and the world. It's actually the queen and king of the global startup ecosystem. And we don't really see any power shifts or any country that threatens this position currently. The United Kingdom had a great year. It's a very centralized ecosystem. It's basically a lot of it is in London. We're going to talk about the success of London in a second, but I will let you know that no other UK city is ranking in the top 50 other than London, which just shows the power of London in the United Kingdom. But the good thing about the United Kingdom is that we have 78 ecosystem ranked in this country. In the United States, by the way, we have 258, but the United Kingdom is the only country in the world that managed to have more than 50 ecosystems in the index of the top 1,000, which shows that for a relatively small country, there is a lot of innovation happening in the United Kingdom, a lot of seed ecosystems, which is absolutely inspiring. At the third place is Israel. Israel used to be very, very close last year to the United Kingdom, fighting really head to head on the second place. This year, Israel has drifted further down. It now has a gap from the United Kingdom, and but it's still a very good ecosystem, ranked number 3 globally. Canada is ranked 4 and is relatively closer to Israel than what it used to be. So we see a little bit of narrowing of the gaps. That would be what we call the big 4 countries, because the gap of those big 4 in the rankings from all the other countries is very substantial. So currently you can say that there is some kind of a key big 4 club as far as countries are concerned in terms of rankings. Other than that, this beautiful graph actually shows you a little bit of the movements between 2020 and 2022. One of the biggest winners, Sweden, you can see over here a massive jump. It used to be number 10, then number 6, now number 5. It's now also the top EU ecosystem on the index. Germany, very stable, but a little bit sliding, switching locations with Sweden. Another ecosystem that is very interesting for us is Singapore. You can see once again, number 16, grow to number 10, grow to number 7 now. Some amazing things are happening in Singapore. It's becoming a regional Asian hub. And yeah, we have to keep an eye for Singapore because it's actually a very fast growing country. There is a spoiler alert here. Singapore is now the first ranked country in Asia, which means that someone lost the first ranking. So we'll speak about this in a second. France also had a great year. It's now ranked as at number 9. You can see over here that it used to be number 12. So that's absolutely great to see the growth of the French ecosystem. Good things are happening there as well. Interesting things are happening in China. It used to be number 14. Then last year it had a meteoric jump to number 7 with all the unicorns and so on that the ecosystem has generated. This year it has decreased to number 10, still a top 10 ecosystem. Remember, this also takes into account the population. So to be a top 10 when you have more than 1 billion population is a great result, but we do see a little bit of loss of momentum for China. Other interesting thing would be the relatively decrease of Switzerland. It used to be number 8 last year. Now it's number 12. Very stable, a lot of stability in Estonia, in Finland. Good year for Ireland, and great year, by the way, for Denmark, finally making it to the top 20. India also had a good year, it increased already last year to number 20. Now it's number 19. So also Japan made it to the top 20. So some very interesting things are happening. Again, there are 100 countries, so I recommend to read the report to kind of figure out what is happening if you didn't see your country in the top 20. As for the cities themselves, we can have a look on a relatively similar chart. No surprises here. By the way, San Francisco still a strong number 1 in the world. The gap between San Francisco and the second ranked cities is 2.5 times. It's 2.5 times bigger than New York. However, I have to say that all the cities below San Francisco are narrowing those gaps. In 2019, the total score of San Francisco was 5 times more. 2020, it was 4 times. 2021, 3 times. And now it's 2.5 times. So needless to say, San Francisco is still going to be the top global ecosystem for the foreseeable future. It is 2.5 times bigger than anything else that we can see on the map. But there is a lot of interesting, you can even say value destruction currently happening in San Francisco. If you're thinking about building a massive startup and to conquer the world, that's still your place, but you might hurry because the charm is wearing off slowly. New York also has a very interesting tier and a dominant tier at number 2, a very big gap from anyone below it. So you can really say that San Francisco is fortified at number 1 and New York is fortified at number 2. And then below them, there is a club of 3 cities that are relatively close to each other. There will be London, Los Angeles, Boston, and Beijing. Sorry, that would be 4 cities. And the big shift over here has been the increase of London. There was a lot of concern about Brexit and so on. This year, London has increased to number 3 from number 5. So that's really shows you, by the way, it's the only non-American city in the top 5 now. So it shows you that London managed to build something very, very unique in the global startup ecosystem. Los Angeles, not a lot of people know that this movie city is actually a very strong startup ecosystem. Snapchat is from there and other startups. It's ranked number 4. Boston is a massive health tech hub. At number 5, relatively small city, by the way, which only shows how strong this city is. The interesting thing was the decrease of Beijing from number 3 to number 6. Shanghai stayed relatively stable at number 7, but I do want to say that it's separated from the top cities. The total score now gap of Shanghai is very big, and it's much, much closer to the other ecosystem below it. There are Bangalore that made a massive jump. You can see over here what's going on in Bangalore, number 14, then number 10 in 2021, now number 8. Tel Aviv, a slight decrease during those years, so something to look after. It's still a very strong global ecosystem, but sliding a little bit. Paris finally made it to number 10, and Berlin also relatively good momentum, getting close to the top 10. Tokyo Yokohama staying stable at number 15 at the top group. Sao Paulo, very interesting to see, is strengthening its position as the most powerful Latin American ecosystem in the top 20. That's a great, great achievement. Latin America has been struggling for years to get a footprint in the global startup ecosystem. Sao Paulo is really the city that manages to do it very well. And yeah, other than that, so once again, there are 1,000 cities. I only gave you a brief about 20, so you can understand how deep this thing is going. So I hope you find it you'll find it interesting when you read the report. I'll just say a little bit that basically on the regional analysis, I'll just say that still the North American ecosystem are very much in power. They're controlling the top 30 and even the top 100. Those are only 2 countries, by the way, only USA and Canada. Europe is actually very, very doing very well in the lower tiers. It has more than 420 ecosystems, showing that in Europe you have a lot of seed activity of startups, but unfortunately, until now, we don't see those global cities that are being born other than London, and we're really hoping to see a wave of innovation. In Europe, a lot of potential there. Needless to say, as Asia Pacific, as we talked about, so many cities and countries are ranked in the top tier. It's going to be very interesting what's happening there. Latin America, it's not only Sao Paulo, there is good shifts that are happening there in places like Mexico City, Santiago de Chile, Bogota, Buenos Aires. All the top cities are going up, and it's very nice to see that Latin America is very much closing gaps with other mature ecosystems and now becoming something that is important and has to be considered. Africa and the Middle East are also doing good, and I will say that this report, we also have a top 100 city finally from Africa. Lagos made a massive jump and is now a very strong global ecosystem that has to be taken into account. This ecosystem is now producing unicorns, it's producing special entities. So very interesting things are happening in Nigeria and in Lagos specifically. So yeah, that's basically it. I'll just end by saying that you can also view the results on an interactive table that you have over here. So you can go to Startup Link, scroll below the map, and then you can basically just put any country that you wish, and it would show you the cities from this country. So you can also, if you don't have time for the report, you can also somehow consume the results on the table. That's pretty much it. Again, we couldn't cover most of it, but at least we covered some interesting things. And yeah, let's now switch to the other part, which is a little bit talking about the ecosystems themselves. So we have a chance to get a view from the ecosystem developers themselves. We're going to start with actually something interesting, not necessarily a city and a country. All our introduction would be of city and countries, but with the region. This is a region that has been partnering with us for the global report, the region of CAREC, which is the Central Asian economic cooperation and regional economic cooperation. And this is a very interesting region that we find very, let's say, as a big potential for the future and for future growth. So we have with us Vishal Aditya from CAREC and from the Asian Development Bank that will tell us a little bit about the things that he identified in the region and some of the goals of CAREC as an organization of what we're trying to basically establish there. Very interesting seed ecosystems that are now growing, so definitely worth our attention. So Vishal, I'll turn it to you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Eli. Great to be here and great to have this opportunity to interact with so many interesting ecosystems around the world. I'll just share my screen. So just give me a confirmation that you're able to see my full screen instead of the presenter view.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Yeah, a very interesting report, Eli. Quite excited to go through it fully and understand the implications of rankings, and more particularly how, as a regional initiative, we can try to work on improving the ecosystems. So to everyone, my name is Vishal Aditya Putluri. I am based out of the CAREC Secretariat at the Asian Development Bank. CAREC is a regional cooperation initiative that has 11 member countries from Central, East, and West Asia. And primarily, we are a regional integration platform, which means that we try to build networks that will enable increased participation and activities in the various markets in the region. And we also try to work on policy that'll help us do this. So to give you a brief background, we have just recently started working on ecosystem promotion. And we believe, or we are testing out a hypothesis at this point, that there is a lot of value to be gained by improving networks in the region. So networks, not just for information sharing, but improving market linkages, which is it spans across movement of goods to movement of capital, making connections with investors, but also movement of services. So if a startup wants to, say, scale up from one country in Central Asia to East Asia, what are the regulatory requirements that they need to follow? How do they really make these connections? So we're trying to see if this is something that startups will find of value. And we want to build a network that will enable us to really support them in reaching their goals. So to give you a brief background, again, then we consist of 11 countries and several development partners. As I mentioned, we have China and Mongolia on the east. We span across Central Asia, going to West Asia with Georgia and Azerbaijan, and in South Asia, Pakistan and Afghanistan. The total population is around 1.7 billion people, and the overall GDP is a little more than $15 trillion. However, we don't think the region has received enough attention for startups in terms of domestic startups really scaling up and reaching out, because there are certain hubs that have dominated. So we think there is enough demand from young entrepreneurs in the region to really take up this provision of services that can benefit a lot of growing markets. And we also think that the exposure to external agencies, be it investors or other startups looking to scale into the region, they haven't really found a good fit in terms of how to enter these markets. So as a platform, we'd like to try and see how both sides can be addressed and strengthened. In terms of ranking, it's a pretty heterogeneous mix of countries. We have China on the top, and in the top 100, we have 7 CAREC countries, 4 additional countries which have some city ecosystems that are doing well, but they haven't found themselves in the top 100 countries yet. A lot of the work has been going on in China, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, and then we see a little bit of a stray off with Mongolia, Azerbaijan, and Kyrgyz Republic. But we also have Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Afghanistan as part of the group. So we have three initiatives on the digital side. The first one, which we'll discuss today, is the startup ecosystem development. We are also looking at improving digitalization in the region from an infrastructure perspective, a policy perspective, and market access perspective. And that is done via the CAREC digital strategy, which was endorsed by the ministers of these countries last year. And we are also running open innovation challenges to really encourage and motivate young entrepreneurs to come up with their ideas and try to see if they can find more markets for scaling up. So the ecosystem hub is proposed as a network and collaboration opportunity. It itself is built of three components: a startup ecosystem map, where we are collaborating with Eli and his team to build a solid database from which we can make these networks stronger. And then we go into the innovation network, which is actually the action-oriented item, where the networks really come to life, and the community activation, where we try to host events and other useful occasions where we can build on top of these networks. So the map looks very similar to what Startup Link does, but we'll be restricting it to the CAREC region for now, so that we have a very focused approach. So if you want to learn about what's happening in these countries, this will be the place to go to. And you can reach out to us to help facilitate these connections via the innovation network. And here we will be hosting various types of resources and opportunities for different stakeholders in the ecosystem, which includes having capacity building grants, holding technical and practical assistance, having training and learning opportunities, information sharing events, and facilitating these connections. So just to wrap up, if you are a external ecosystem player that is not based out of the CAREC country, but you are curious to learn about what's going on here, we would like to become the go-to source for you. So you have a holistic perspective of what's going on in the region. How do you enter these markets? What do you need to know before you come in, and so on. And if you are an internal player, we would like to help you strengthen your networks within the CAREC countries, but also provide you a window to see how you can reach out to the external or other ecosystems in the region or elsewhere. And that's kind of our hypothesis at this point. So we would love for you to connect with us, reach out to us, and see how much value you can draw from this. If there are any things that particularly will be beneficial for your ecosystem, please let us know, and we can figure out a way to collaborate going forward. So with that, I will pass it back to Eli, and looking forward to hearing about your respective ecosystems and learning more. Thanks, Eli.
Thank you, Vishal. Really interesting insights on this very exciting region. So can't wait to do some more work there. So thanks a lot. Yeah, we're going to start our pitching of cities and of countries. The first one would be an Asian city, the beautiful Yokohama. That is together, by the way, with Tokyo ranked incredibly high. They're ranked in the top 20, very high rankings as well. Of course, it's ranked as the top ecosystem or cluster in Japan of innovation, the 5th one in Asia, and the 3rd one in East Asia. So with us today is Nikolai, that will tell us a little bit about what's going on in the city of Yokohama. And yeah, just give us a little bit of a brief about why we should consider arriving to Yokohama and maybe starting our own startup there. Who knows? So Nikolai, thanks a lot for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Eli, for the opportunity. And I'm happy to talk to you all today. And I'm really excited also after this to take a look through the whole report and just look through all the amazing insights that are absolutely surely contained within. And we've seen just a brief bit of that. So let me share my screen here, because I'd like to talk to you today, as Eli said, about the Yokohama ecosystem and kind of tell you what makes it unique and what makes it maybe attractive, and hopefully, garner your interest, and we can talk more about that. But I also want to talk about something that, might have popped into your head as you were looking through Eli's slides, and if you look through the whole report. So if you look, as Ellie mentioned, you look through the report and you notice that there is in the top 20 cities ranking, and in the top rankings across the report, there's the Tokyo Yokohama area listed as sort of one of the cities that is ranked, or the areas, ecosystems that is ranked. And I wanted to talk about why the Tokyo Yokohama area is called that before I jump into what makes Yokohama unique specifically. So this is sort of the nitty-gritty thing about how Japan is set up and as a country and how the cities are sort of classified within it. Tokyo is actually often referred to as a city, but it is officially known and governed, sort of in terms of its local government, as a prefecture essentially, or more specifically a metropolitan prefecture. It's a really neat thing within Japan. So I mean, in all respects, Tokyo is a city. We refer to it as that internationally. It is a city, but it's also important to recognize, I think, that Tokyo is also an area, and there's many sort of different things that you could be referring to when you say Tokyo. And actually, the Tokyo metropolitan area is a wider berth than even that sort of prefectural thing that I mentioned. And that includes Kanagawa Prefecture, and I believe parts of Saitama, Chiba, Tochigi, Ibaraki, Gunma, all these other places in Japan that are sort of nearby get lumped into the Tokyo metropolitan area. And Yokohama is one of those cities that is a part of the Tokyo metropolitan area. And so we are actually very happy to be working with Startup Blink to raise awareness about Yokohama on the global ecosystem. I also wanted to talk about why Yokohama deserves to be up there with Tokyo. So if we take a closer look, you can see that this is sort of a map of Japan, and in that zoomed in portion, Yokohama is the red star and Tokyo is just above it on the map. And you can see some of those other sort of cities and areas that I mentioned just around it. Yokohama is actually the second, if we assume that, you know, Tokyo is a city, like I mentioned, it is obviously the first in terms of population. Yokohama is the second largest city in that case in population. So, you know, nothing to sneeze at. Yokohama is a very, very large city on its own. And it is very, very close to Tokyo, which means actually that by being in Yokohama, you gain access to the center of Tokyo, you gain access to the Tokyo markets very quickly, and, you know, the international airports as well. So Yokohama actually, by being close to Tokyo, by being part of this ecosystem, gains some benefits. And but why would companies want to come to Yokohama specifically and not sort of the central Tokyo area? Well, I think that one thing that's very important is that, let's see if there we go. That Yokohama is a very, very beautiful city. It's right on the port, and it is designed in such a way that you can live, work, and play all in the same area. It is a waterfront port city. It has had historically an access internationally, sort of one of the first cities in Japan that had a lot of access internationally. So it's a very welcoming place for foreigners, a very accepting place of new ideas. I think the first beer in Japan actually came through Yokohama, as well as ice cream and newspapers. But that's just sort of a fun fact. More granularly, there are a lot of international schools, a lot of support for international people and cultures in Yokohama. And also importantly, the rent is a lot cheaper on average than Tokyo in the center, but you still have that sort of 30-minute access into the center of Tokyo. So it is, a part of the Tokyo ecosystem, but it's a little bit affordable also, which can be a benefit for startups as they're getting their feet under them in the Japanese market. Taking a look sort of at the recent developments in the innovation ecosystem in Yokohama, you can see this is a sort of a busy slide, but this is the waterfront district, one of Yokohama's fastest growing districts. And you see all these large international companies and Japanese companies as well that have moved into the area to open up R&D centers and headquarters, and they're driving a lot of the innovation and new ideas, and other companies are flocking to join as well. So we've seen a lot of activity in this area. And I mean, more activity is coming. There's a lot of centers that are being developed and constructed, and there's more happening, and there's more spaces being developed for open innovation, for collaborating with larger companies. And so what drives this sort of continued growth? I think that a lot of it comes from the new talent that's entering the Yokohama pipeline. There are 26 universities in that area in Yokohama, and 9 of them specifically focus on STEM research, STEM, science and mathematics. So you have a lot of engineers that are entering the workforce and create, with these new ideas, new technologies, and ready to work at larger companies and ready to start their own startups. So you're seeing a lot of activity in that sense. But that's sort of a natural feedback loop that's happened as a result of having these universities and these talent in Yokohama. But Yokohama has actually been putting a lot of conscious effort into developing its ecosystem as well, especially over the last few years. So you can see sort of a timeline. Just since 2019, a lot of effort and a lot of activity has gone into the me sort of working as a I guess I didn't mention this. I work for the City of Yokohama's Americas office. So we are one of the sort of an offshoot of the Yokohama local government. And part of our work has been to expand the ecosystem and work to do that. And there's been a lot of activity. I mean, I could go on. There's the Yokohama Future Organization, which is a consortium of large companies in Yokohama that is dedicated and driven to increase innovation, generate new markets, and sort of create a model city for the future. There are accelerator programs. There's if you looked at the Startup Blink website, we put a lot of effort into cataloging Yokohama startups in a way that you won't be able to see anywhere else. A lot of the information is in Japanese, but we have worked with Startup Blink to provide that to you in English. So please take a look at the Startup Blink website for more information on that. And I'd just like to say last thing that our office, as I mentioned, is one of the Yokohama's international offices. We're located in New York, but we sort of do outreach to all of North America, South America. So, and as a offshoot of the local government, we're a nonprofit. So we work with you for free. If you're interested at all in the Japanese market, Yokohama or not, we can talk to you about what your goals are, if Yokohama would be a good fit for you, and kind of talk about what you need and what Yokohama could offer you. So that's a quick overview of Yokohama, why it's included as Tokyo Yokohama area in the Startup Blink report. And I'm very excited to read the rest of the report and to hear from the rest of the ecosystems as well. Thanks for your time. And I'll post my information in the chat below.
Thank you so much, Nikolai. Yokohama is a super interesting city, and we're really happy about the cooperation with you. We really see how Japanese cities are moving forward and becoming better. So that's absolutely great. So thank you so much. Great. We can move on to an ecosystem in the other side of the world, this time in Bogota, in Colombia, one of the most inspiring ecosystems that we have. Basically, the ecosystem was just gets better every year. We have with us Juan David from the Cámara de Comercio de Bogotá, that will give you a little bit of an introduction and explanation about what had happened. I will just say that Bogota has increased substantially in this year. It is 7 spots up, and really interesting to see how the ecosystem is growing and becoming a major player in Latin America. So yeah, Juan David, feel free to start.
Hi, Eli. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for all the team of the Startup Blink for Bogota. It's a great opportunity to share our case in this scenario. I don't know if you in this moment you look my screen well, or are you looking?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oh, sorry. I don't know. I have troubles in this moment. I don't know if it's working like this or not. Like
this way we see the slides very small. The first way that you showed was perfect. We could see it
like that?
pretty big. Yes, like this.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, for us it's a pleasure to be here, to be in this important event. We work a lot with the Startup Blink. So for us, it's an amazing opportunity to share what is happening here in Bogota, what is happening in Colombia, because it's a really interesting city that you show in the report. Jump 7 spots in the global index. In this moment, we are the 17th city in the world with the most interesting ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem in the world. My name is Juan David Castaño. I am the Strengthening Vice President in the Bogota Chamber of Commerce. One is the most important entities or players in the Bogota ecosystem. And we are going to use these 5 minutes to share some interesting information about Bogota. Bogota has a strategic position that makes a great city. We have more than 7 million of population, more than 10,000 GDP in dollars of GDP per capita, that put us as a great city to launch a startup. But not only thinking in Bogota. When we put Bogota in Colombia, Colombia has like 50 million of population. But when we look all the Latin American region, we also can talk about more than 200 million of population, and Bogota played a really important role in this continent. As you can see in the screen, Bogota, when Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report put Colombia as a best country in Latam to start a business in 2022. We also put some information about World Bank in the Doing Business report, put also Colombia as one of the most important countries in Latin America to open a business, but also with magazine or with companies, specialized companies, for example, FDI Intelligence, put also Bogota as a second place in Latin America in the future cities in our region. But also when we share some information about VC industry, when we look at all the Bogota case of a study, we understand that Colombia is the number 23 of the VC funding globally. So and all that investment we have here in Bogota, we concentrate more than 60% of the Colombia startups. We already have 3 unicorns, but we also have 8 unicorns. So that shows entrepreneurship ecosystem really grow fast. In 2020, we grow more than 100% of the investment that we receive here in our city, in our country, of VCs. Only in 2021, we represent more than 20% of the all VC investment in Latin America. But it's not only that. Bogota is an entertainment and cultural city, not only place. We can visit more than 90 art galleries here in our city. We have more than 45 theaters. We have more than 130 museums here in our city. So it's a really interesting city, of a vibrant city, of a creative economy, but not only Bogota, is in all our country. And when we look the entrepreneurship ecosystem here in our city, we find that we have more than 40 accelerators in Colombia and more than 16 in Bogota. That is are really important for grow our startups. Here in Bogota, we have more than 12 government entities and development agencies that work every day to strengthen the entrepreneurship ecosystem here in our city. But we also have more than 5 multilateral and development bank and institutions working together to strengthen our startups, to strong and to help our entrepreneurship here in Bogota. We also have more than 10 association entrepreneurship clubs that share good and bad practices in this conversation. That is one of the most important things to strengthen ecosystem who work together for our entrepreneurs. And we have more than 10 venture capital funds here to invest every day in our startup and to help to grow this startup, not only in Colombia, but also in LATAM and for the entire world. But it's not only all the work that we do for strength the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Bogota. We also have a really important economy that grows and grows every day. In this moment, in this year, Colombia, we expect that grow more than other countries in Latin America, but not only for 2022. In the recent 15, 16 years, the Colombian economy grows more than the others economy in Latin America. So we share a really, really stable economy that will keep improving by 2022. We combine that strong and stable economy with a really important ecosystem for our entrepreneurs. And we also share a vision from the Bogota Chamber of Commerce and the other entities that work for this important ecosystem. And for us, as I already say, for the Bogota Chamber of Commerce, it has been a priority in the last years to work and to position Bogota as the capital of entrepreneurship in Latin America. But we want to end this speech with a really great news for all the ecosystem, entrepreneur ecosystem here in Bogota, in Colombia, in Latam. We, in the past 2 months, we launched one of the most important agendas to improve our entrepreneurship ecosystem here in Bogota. We launched our Science and Innovation District that we are going to start to build, and we are going to open his doors, if we can say like that, in 2026. And that district of innovation, of entrepreneurship agendas, what is the most important project in Colombia, and we lead here in the Bogota Chamber of Commerce with the national government of our country, with the district government of Bogota. And with that final project, we expect to put to Bogota in the first or the second position of the most important ecosystem in LATAM. So Alive for us is a great opportunity to have this space to share our vision, to share our numbers, and to invite all the person who works in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in LATAM, in the entire world, to join us here in Bogota and to share and to build that vision that we have to strong our ecosystem alive. So thank you for the space.
Thank you, Juan David. Great ecosystem that you have in Bogota. I've been there 2 years ago. I really honestly recommend it. If people don't know, Rappi is now based there, one of the most important Latin American startup in the history of Latin America. That's really great. So Juan David, thank you for the great work of Cámara de Comercio, and we'll be in touch. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lai.
Great. So with us today is one more person from our team, our business development manager, Mahmoud, that would help us a little bit to also do a little bit of organization in terms of the pitches. Mahmoud, maybe you want to introduce our next person to pitch an organization.
Sure. Thank you, Eli. I'm Mahmoud. It is a pleasure to be your host in this event. Our next panelist is Director of Think Tank and Operations for Austrian Startups, Manuel. Manuel, it's great to have you. Until Manuel connects as a panelist, just to let you know that Austria had a great year, increased 5 spots, and it is ranked 23rd globally. Hi, Manuel.
Hi there. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting. Floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot. First of all, for the great report. I think it's always highly important for informed decision making. And yeah, I'm more than happy to share some insights with you today about the Austrian startup ecosystem. First of all, hello world. I'm Manu. I'm the director of Think Tank and the COO of Austrian Startups. And as I mentioned, I'm here today to share some insights about Startup Hub Austria. But for those who still confuse Austria with Australia, we do not have any kangaroos over here. We have Vienna. Vienna, the world's most livable city, voted for 8 times in a row. I mean, honestly, just look at the pictures. At this one. And if you don't like the city of Vienna, you could even enjoy a view like that. And despite all this, people in Austria are grumpy. They are so grumpy, we even have an own name for them. We call them Raunzer. So we really have a Raunzer culture here. People in Austria are never satisfied by anything. They find little mistakes, little problems here and there. And most importantly, people in Austria are very impatient. So waiting for other people to actually come and fix your problem ain't gonna happen. They're gonna fix it themselves, thus providing the ideal foundation for really a vibrating startup ecosystem. In fact, data of our very own Austrian Startup Monitor show that the Austrian grumpiness led to almost 3,000 startups in Austria, with people up here in Vienna being specifically grumpy. So if you consider changing or solving a problem here in Austria, you're definitely not alone. In fact, the grumpiness in Austria has not only led to 3,000 startups, almost half of those startups is dedicating their time to social and sustainability problems. So we can really say that Austria is therefore a real hub for green tech technology and social tech. Let's have a closer look at the demographics of our grumpiness. Founders in Austria are relatively low. 1/3 of them is even below 30. Additionally, more than half of the startups not only has international employees, but is also expecting growth of about more than 100% within the next 12 months. So we are young, we are international, and we are growing fast. Come join us. This brings me to my final question. How is Grumpy Action funded? Our data show that 50% of the startups received national public funding, while 17% relied on EU funding. So we could really argue and say that if you're grumpy about a problem, the state will jump in and help you out with funding. What about you? Are you grumpy? Scan my QR code. This leads you to my LinkedIn. We get in touch and we'll fix out the details. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Manu. It was great to have you. Looking forward to being in your grumpy country very soon. I live very close.
Should definitely join.
Yeah, definitely. Our next presenter is Evelina and Karina. Evelina is the head of grant program for Ukrainian Startup Fund. Ukraine is ranked 50th top global, still holds that 50th spot. Evelina is connected now. It's great to have you, Evelina.
Yes, nice to meet you. Good evening.
Good evening to you too. I think your colleague will connect also to share screen.
Now we will share our presentation.
Perfect.
And if you can see, so just tell us and we will start.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, so maybe just a full screen and then we can start. So, okay, greetings from Ukraine. My name is Evelina and I represent the Ukrainian Startup Fund, state fund with a mission to create a strong ecosystem by financing Ukrainian startups with grants and further assistance. Unfortunately, as we can see for the last 2 years in a row, the rankings do not reflect the real situation of ecosystem in Ukraine. Last review showed that there was a lack of state support, but at the same time, our fund closed almost half of the deals in Ukraine. Of course, we have new challenges now, but also strong commitments from our partners with the common aim to boost national ecosystem as it has a very huge potential. So now USF is the main governmental implementing agency aiming at providing ongoing assistance to the tech industry. And as you can see, our results as of 2 years activity prove it. Almost 300 startups have already received our non-refundable grant support and participated in global events all over the world. In these difficult times, Ukrainian startups and tech companies have already proved themselves as one of the most promising ones. In the first quarter of this year, our IT industry provided a record $2 billion in export earnings during the war, being perhaps the only industry that continues to operate stable. Ukraine is EU's biggest tech country. First, let's talk about our people. Ukraine had the most talented IT professionals, ranking the first number among the EU countries for the number of tech graduates. Ukrainians rank 4th in the International Math Olympiad. So that people create the milestone and other reason for the biggest tech companies to open their R&D centers such as Apple, Revolut, and many others. Such successful stories as Grammarly, Preface, PetCube grew up from ideas in Ukraine. And our goal is to increase the number of success stories in the tech industry. But the war changed everything. Now we are all faced with new difficult times in our country and have to adjust to the new reality to make an innovative ecosystem survive and become even stronger. So first we conducted our startup voice survey and figure out the main needs of Ukrainian teams. 99 of the respondents need financial support. And that was the reason to launch our matching platform where you can fill in the simple form and provide any kind of important support for Ukrainian teams. Generally, in USF, we have 4 main programs: early stage grants, acceleration program, and innovative vouchers program. And now we developed the up-to-date program, which provides grants for dual-purpose projects in the most important, as for me, areas such as defense, cybersecurity, education, health, care, and reconstruction. We have strong partnership connections and at the same time, a huge database of our winners in all the industries, which you can scan by this QR code. Ukrainian ecosystem now needs support even more than ever before. Along with the huge potential of our tech industry, let's cooperate and support Ukraine together. So thanks a lot for your attention and glory to Ukraine.
Thank you, Evelina. It was great to have you. Our next panelist is Paulo. Paulo is the Business and Marketing Director at the Curitiba Agency for Development and Innovation. Curitiba also had a great year. It's ranked 141st globally and 5th in South America. They're also in top 70 in e-commerce and retail. Welcome, Paulo. It's good to have you, Paulo.
Good afternoon, Mahmoud, our friends from Startup Link, our colleagues from other cities. Very nice to be here.
Pleasure is ours. Panel is yours.
Okay, can you all see my presentation now on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, So we start with a nice picture of a skyline from Curitiba, and then we move up to show exactly where we are in Brazil and South America. We are in the south of Brazil, as you can see on far left, the little map of the state of Paraná, where Curitiba is the capital. The green map in the middle shows the whole state, and in the far right is Curitiba. Curitiba and the state of Paraná, they both have a strategic location. We are bordered to the Mercosur, which is an agreement along with Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. We're very close to São Paulo. It's only a 45 minutes flight. Also, we're like 30 minutes by road to the second largest port in Brazil. It's a state very well served with roads along it, 13,000 kilometers of roads, 2,400 kilometers of railroads. We do have the best airport in the country here in Curitiba, which is a city with 2 million population. Maybe you all know Curitiba about our famous creation, which was the BRT, the Bus Rapid Transit, the system with buses and dedicated corridors for the buses to run through. That was created in 1974. So I like to say that I have been seeing innovation in Curitiba since I was a very little kid in 1974. Started with our bus system that today is very famous around the world. It is adopted in over 200 cities around the world. We are also the ecological capital of Brazil. We do preserve our green areas. We have 35 parks all over the city. And we have 64.5 square meters of green area per inhabitant. So we really care about our environment. In the last few years, specifically in 2017, with our new mayor, Rafael Greca, we started what we call the movement called the Pinhão Valley. It's a movement to integrate the innovation ecosystem in the city. To put together universities, startups, private sector, all institutions, and of course the city hall, represented by the Curitiba Agency for Development and Innovation. So we work together in synergy to develop this innovation ecosystem. Just for curiosity, Pinhão is it's a nut that blossoms in the pine tree. It's a nut very common in south of Brazil. Pinhão Valley has some 5 pillars to start off. Those 5 pillars are education and entrepreneurship, technology, reurbanization, sustainability, integration and articulation, and the legal system and incentives. We work after these pillars to make a movement to promote smart city actions aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. So since then, we have moved very well. We have now 8,000 IT companies in the city, 460 startups. We have 3 unicorns. Those are the only 3 unicorns in Brazil outside of São Paulo. They are all in Curitiba. And here at the Aegis, the yellow building that you see on your right is our headquarters. It's a historical building. It used to be a flour mill back in 1940s, and today is the headquarters for the Curitiba Agency for Development and Innovation. And we run here several programs for innovation and entrepreneurship. In fact, Curitiba is the second ranked city in entrepreneurship in Brazil, as was announced a couple weeks ago in the national ranking. One of the programs that we do have here is the Technopark, which reduces the city service tax for tech companies from 5% to 2%. And also we have programs for startups such as co-works. We have a public co-works in the city, 3 of them. And we do also a lot of international actions to promote the city and to exchange knowledge with many other ecosystems around the world. Since 2018, we are the host for the Smart City Expo in Brazil. Smart City Expo is a very important event for smart cities. It started in Barcelona, created by the FIRA Barcelona, and we are the host here in Brazil. You can see the picture, our last edition that happened in March of this year, with more than 10,000 people visiting this fair. We also are working now on a 5G project along with TIM and Huawei. TIM and Huawei made a partnership, and they announced that last February in Barcelona. Their plan is to make Curitiba the first 5G city in Brazil. Since we just made the action for the 5G in Brazil, so we start this project now in every city in Brazil, but we are very confident that Curitiba will be the first one along with TIM and Huawei. Here's I show you the report that we just saw the presentation since early this morning. So Curitiba is ranked the second best ecosystem in Brazil for the startups, just after São Paulo, which is a city 10 times bigger than us, and we're fifth in South America, after São Paulo, Santiago, Bogota, and Buenos Aires. And to finish my presentation, my name and my contact, my email, my website, and on the left, I wanted to put a picture of our CEO, Chris Alessi, just to say that in Curitiba we support the participation of the women in our areas, starting with the city hall. Half of the city secretaries are women, so we really support their career in tech and innovation. We believe that an innovative city needs to have women working along with all genders. So thank you. Very nice to be here with you today.
Thank you, Paulo. It was great to have you. Our next presenter is Karin, Head of Innovation Ecosystem, and Adrienne, Senior Innovation Lead in General Delegation for Rapid Entrepreneurship of Women and Youth from Senegal. It's great to have you too. Senegal is ranked this year as in top 100 as the 92nd country. And it's great to have you, Karin. Floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Adrienne, and Karin is right here. Very happy to have this opportunity offered by Startup Blink. So we're going to talk a little bit about Senegal's. Let me put the presentation first. Here we go. So we're going to talk about Dakar startup ecosystem and about the situation here in Senegal. So Dakar is really Francophone Africa's fast-growing innovation and tech hub. We have a strategic geographic position. Actually, Dakar and Senegal has created less than a year ago a new city close to Dakar, which is called Diamniadio, and this city is really close to also the new airport, brand new airport that we have here in Senegal, and also a brand new plane company, Senegal Airlines, And it's an important point because this enables Dakar to be linked to all the main cities around the world, in Africa, on the continent, of course, as we can see on this presentation, the slide, but also in Europe, major cities in Europe, and direct flights also to USA. It's really recent.
Sorry, Adrian.
Yes.
We can't see the presentation right now. Yes.
Okay.
I think Mahmoud is sharing
maybe
your presentation.
Yes, Karen, maybe I will share the presentation and you can.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So I'm on the second slide. Yeah, thank you, Mahmoud. So yeah, so we have we are really close now in Dakar from all main countries, main cities, and so that's a really important point for relations, economical relations, for tourism, for Senegal and for Dakar. Next, please. So a few key metrics and infos about Senegal and Dakar. There are 17 million inhabitants, and 4 million of them are in Dakar. 52% of the population is under 20 years old. So we have a really young and dynamic population. There's a strong diaspora, of course. It represents 1 million people. Other important point is the political stability, which is a difference we have from the other countries around. It's a very important point for bringing up here in Senegal economical opportunities. The internet penetration rate is it's very good compared to many other countries on the continent, actually, with 95% penetration in 2021. Mobile penetration rate 116%. Contribution of ITC in the GDP is 8%, was 8% in 2020. And funds raised by startups in 2021 makes Senegal the 5th African country with $353 million US. Other very important facts: Senegal is the 2nd African country to vote the Startup Act. Startup Act facilitates building up, starting entrepreneurship projects here in Senegal. It's a very important new opportunity for our entrepreneurs. It's also the 3rd African country to have a unicorn. You may have heard of Wave here in Senegal, a fintech that really did a big deal here. Everybody talks about it. We're the first in sub-Saharan Africa, and at last, with the 12th country in volume of tech hubs in 2019. Next slide. So here we have an ecosystem landscape overview. So you can see that we have schools and universities that have. We showed here that what you see here is not, of course, all the schools and universities, but all the main ones that have a hub, that have entrepreneurship activities with incubators. We have many corporates also that are present in Senegal that have an important role in the ecosystem with different links with the startups, different links with the government. So some of them are here: Orange, Free, Atos, IBM, Microsoft, Huawei. So yeah, there's a diversity of corporates. We have more and more hubs, incubators that have different targets. It has really grown these last years, this last 3-4 years. It's has been more than doubled the number of hubs that are in Senegal. So some of them are on the list here. Regarding investors and funds, so there's really a mix between private and public investors. Of course, we are one of the main investor, government main investor there, but there's also structures that you may know as Proparco, INP, but also business angels like DNA. So yeah, there's really a mix of different type of investors that work with the ecosystem, that fund the ecosystem. And on the right, you have the slide. You have oh, I have 30 seconds left. Okay, so different startups that are indicated on different verticals. So next slide. This slide is about all the different commitments from the government that have been done this last year in Senegal, and so I'm not going to list it, but there are really important investments that have been done by the state of Senegal. Next.
I will go fast on this one. So the particularity of Senegal also is that the state is really bold and have a strong vision on building a strong innovation hub for Africa and the world here in Senegal. So we have a dedicated fund, which is a innovation support fund with two pillars. One is to finance and support startups and SMEs, and the second one is to support the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So how do we do that? Next slide. We do it by financing entrepreneurs, and we have financed 230 startups so far. We also do it by providing technical assistance. So we do from pre-incubation up to acceleration and Pan-African acceleration. We've been supporting 415 startups in those programs. Also, we support directly the ESOs, so the entrepreneurship support organizations, through capacity building and also international exposure. We have also conceptualized 7 programs, and we have an innovation plateau that will be turned into a big innovation hub. And this is the one I want to probably switch to. So it's on the next slide, and it will be the last one, I guess. Where can we go to the next one? Oh, let's switch this one. So it's the partners we have, international partners. Yes, this one is really important. So we will end with this. It's the Mohammed bin Zayed Center for Innovation, which is a really big building of 8 floors, like Station F, but slightly bigger than it. And we will have 25,000 square meters dedicated in Center Dakar for all of the ecosystem players worldwide who would like to build a business here in Senegal and see Senegal as an entrance for them to penetrate the Francophone African market, for example. So it will be with a lot of facilities like co-working space, B2B space, event space, Fab Lab, soft landing, and so on. And we want it to be the international showcase of innovation and tech players. So it will be available in 16 months. And if you are interested in coming to Senegal to be part of what we are building at the moment, let's just connect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrienne and Karen. It was great to have you. Our next presenter is from City of Ghent, Dieter, the Manager of Investment and Tech Innovation. This was a great year for Ghent. They had 2 unicorns. They're ranked 149th globally and 2nd in Belgium, 38th in Western Europe. They're in top 40 in health industry. I apologize, Ellen would be presenting, not Dieter. Ellen, it's great to have you.
Hi, it's great to be here. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, so hi everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Ellen Bowles, and I work for the city of Ghent as a communications manager for the team of Invest in Ghent. Now, I would like to welcome you to this capital of technology of Europe, and let me start you with a short introduction. Now, to make the transition to Ghent as smooth as possible, we at Invest in Ghent provide local policy advisors to help companies through each stage of their relocation, growth, and expansion. We're located in the heart of Europe, in Belgium, only 1 hour removed from our capital, Brussels. We Ghentians, we stand out. We're different. We're known for our go-getter attitude. Our local saying is, nie neuten, nie pleuren, which means as much as don't fuss and don't give up. There is a no-nonsense attitude, giving people the strength to jump into new adventures. Ghent is also a great place to live, with the yearly Ghent festivities for 10 days in July, and you're always welcome to grab a pint and enjoy our French fries. But we also have a lot of hidden gems, such as the medieval center, the canals, and many parks. We also, and this is very important for talent from abroad, we have an international school with more than 34 different nationalities. Now, back to business. What makes Ghent so interesting? Well, that's easy. We have a very mature tech ecosystem. Let me throw some numbers at you. Now, in 2021, foreign direct investment in Ghent amounted to a staggering number of almost 1.3 million euros. This amounts to 45% of FDI in Flanders, which is the Dutch-speaking half of Belgium. We have 406 active startups and scale-ups, which is the highest density in Belgium. And no less than 16 companies based in Ghent can be found in Deloitte's 2021 Technology Fast 50 ranking, which is a Belgium ranking. 2 out of 4 Belgian unicorns are Ghent-based. Team Blue, with hosting services, Combel, and Deliveract, known for its online ordering for restaurants. And we also have future unicorns, showing a great will to expand and accelerate, with Team Leader and Showpad, for example. Now, it is our goal, our mission even, to achieve greater recognition and distinction around the world, emphasizing our many assets and excellent practices. First of all, our location is key, with a top-notch harbor, North Sea Port, and we offer excellent infrastructure surrounded by airports, seaports, railway lines, and highways. In effect, we provide the perfect base from which to access over 500 million European consumers. We've also got plenty of room to grow, and careful consideration is given to the optimal use of spaces in Ghent to create an appropriate balance. We have Techling Ghent Science Park in the south, here in yellow, which is home to R&D facilities and public research institutions for health tech and digitech, while the North Sea Port in the north, in green, focuses more on CO2 capture for clean tech and bio-incubators for biotech. Thirdly, we're lucky to have a vast talent pool with more than 84,000 students. We have the University of Ghent, 2 colleges, Artevelde, Hoog-Ghent, and the Valerik Business School. Thanks to successful projects, our companies are closely intertwined with the academic world. Now, this illustrates our final asset. We're a close-knit community where everyone knows each other. We value participation, co-creation, living labs, and other initiatives that engage a wide range of industries and institutions. Now, all of this reinforces our reputation as tech capital of Europe. We believe innovation will lead to a more prosperous economy, a happier society, and a greener tomorrow. That's why we've targeted these 4 technologies in our local policy: biotech, cleantech, digitech, and health tech. In the following year, we will collaborate on, but also develop flagship projects to help us build the ecosystem of the future. Now, this was just a fraction of what Ghent has on offer. And I'd like to end with a dare. Name a more iconic place to start your business. Go ahead, we'll wait. And feel free to check out our websites and connect on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Ellen. It was great to have you and get to know more about Ghent. Our next presenter is Mariano, project manager of Incubate at Buenos Aires City Government. Buenos Aires is ranked 56th globally and 2nd in South America. They're in top 50 in the education tech, and also they're 3rd in Latin America and Caribbean. Mariano, it's great to have you. Mariano? I think there might be an issue with the microphone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mariano, but we cannot see you. Mariano?
Hi, everyone.
You are disconnecting. I think there is an issue with the internet. Maybe you are disconnecting constantly, Mariano. Maybe you would like to present next, or okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. I think there is a bit of issue with the internet speed because we keep having a disconnection. But go ahead. If it continues to disconnect,
Okay. Can
yeah.
you hear me now?
I think there's a series. No, we cannot hear you properly. So maybe we will have our next presenter, and then we will have you after that. The next ecosystem is Innovate Edmonton. Shalon is the manager of research, marketing, and communication. Edmonton is ranked 104th globally. They're 7th in Canada and 27th in North America. They are also 44th top ranking ecosystem in energy and environment. It's great to have you, Shalon.
Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen and we'll get started. Thank you so much for having this opportunity. This is great. Can we see my screen?
Yes,
Perfect.
We can.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I am Shalon McFarlane, the Manager of Research here at Innovate Edmonton. So Innovate Edmonton is an independent body created by Edmonton City Council in 2020. We have a mandate to be a champion and support for inclusive innovation in Edmonton. So we are a relatively new organization. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that Innovate Edmonton operates on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of the First Nations and Métis people. As we work to transform our region's economy, we recognize and are committed to empowering Indigenous innovation in the spirit of reconciliation. So welcome to Edmonton. We are Alberta's capital city. We are Canada's 5th largest economy and North America's northernmost city with a population of just over 1 million. But don't let our northern latitude fool you. Although we have snow, we are rated to have the most comfortable weather in Canada. For a millennia, Edmonton has been a place for coming together, building community, and creating solutions. Edmonton has within it all the building blocks of a thriving and successful inclusive global innovation capital. We are committed to solving global challenges as outlined by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The Edmonton region is celebrated as the best community in the country for youth to work and among the most educated in the world, with 6 universities and colleges and more than 130,000 students. The University of Alberta is the heart of our innovation in the region. We're globally ranked 3rd for artificial intelligence and machine learning research. We are very diverse and very welcoming to all. Over 20% of our population has come to Edmonton within the last 7 years, and we speak over 150 different languages. So what better way to demonstrate how amazing Edmonton is? When Google DeepMind was looking for their first international office outside of the UK, they chose Edmonton as its home. We are also positioning the region to be a hydrogen hub of Canada with over $1 billion in investment in a new blue hydrogen plant and a recently announced Clean Hydrogen Center of Excellence to help entrepreneurs commercialize hydrogen technologies to the global market. We have a thriving startup ecosystem with over 900 startups and scale-ups in the region with strengths in AI and life sciences. We are the fastest growing region in North America with over 50% growth in our tech talent over the last 5 years. Edmonton was also ranked 3rd in Canada for number of employees supported by VC investment in 2021. Just to highlight a couple of amazing companies, so we have Jobber, is Canada's fastest growing startup with receiving 60 million in investment in 2021. And then DrugBank's online drug database is accessed by over 150 different countries. Our innovators are surrounded by support. Last year, we welcomed 4 new world-class accelerators right here in Alberta. Alberta Accelerator by 500 Global, Plug and Play Alberta, the Community Safety and Wellness Accelerator powered by Alchemist X is a first-of-a-kind accelerator focused on social impact through AI, and the Alberta Catalyzer, a pre-accelerator jointly run by us, Innovate Edmonton, and Platform Calgary. One of the biggest supporters of our ecosystem comes from Alberta Innovates, which provides over 200 million in funding and supports the Edmonton Regional Innovation Network. We have Startup TNT, our crowd-funded VC community. We also have AMI, the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, a not-for-profit helping companies learn and adopt AI. So it's easy to do business here. We have the lowest corporate tax rate in Canada at 8%, a low payroll tax due to publicly funded healthcare. Edmonton also has the highest disposable income in Canada and historically low unemployment, where it takes less than 2 days to start a business. We are easily accessible to global markets. Our Edmonton International Airport is a designated foreign trade zone and an inland port with nonstop service to over 50 destinations. Bonus, it's also a really great place to live. Edmonton has been recently rated as the best city in North America for work-life balance and is the best city to work from home due to affordability and our internet connection. And there's always something to do beyond hockey. We are known as Canada's festival city with over 850 events per year. We have hosted things like the largest fringe festival in the world outside of Edinburgh. We've hosted World Triathlon and FIFA Women's World Cup. Edmonton also has Canada's 2nd largest urban park with over 160 kilometers of maintained pathways, which is 22 times larger than New York Central Park. So here's a short video about Edmonton from Innovate Edmonton CEO, Catherine Warren. So thank you very much to Startup Link for the opportunity to highlight Edmonton. Please reach out. I would love to connect with all of you.
Thank you, Shalon. It's always great to hear fast-growing ecosystems outside United States in North America. And we're very pleased to have you and partner with you this year. Our next presenter is our dear Michael. Michael is the head of cabinet to Ministry of Development and Investments in Greece. Greece is having a great year. They are ranked 48 globally and 29th in Europe and 5th in Balkan. They are also in top 20 in social and leisure and in top 40 in hardware and IoT and top 35 in food tech and marketing and sales. It's great to have you, Michael.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be among you today. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. So allow me to present the Greek startup ecosystem. Let me share my screen, please. Okay, screen. There. Okay. Just to sorry. Okay, here we are. So this is Greece. Greece is a part of Europe. It is in the southeast corner of it, as you can see here in the map. Most of you might know Greece from the Greek islands, but Greece is not only that, of course. We also have a very promising startup ecosystem. This is the Deputy Minister of Development and Investments, who is responsible for research in technology and innovation. He is Dr. Dimas. Dr. Dimas has a vision to establish a very dynamic ecosystem in the startup community. So in 2020, he launched an initiative from the Greek government. It's called Elevate Greece, intended to identify the promising startups and support their growth and nurture a robust innovation ecosystem as a whole. How he did that? We set a credible validation mechanism in order to map the startups of Greece, and we established a national startup database in order to nurture and support them, to build a strong ecosystem around them, to help them network with established companies and R&D organizations, and of course, to help them expand their activities in order to become scale-ups. So we have a map of the startups in Greece, so in which region they have their premises, the sectors that they operate, the number of people they employ, and founding routes that they have been invested in them so far, their legal entity, and many other details. We have received so far 1,300 applications, and so far, following their evaluation, we have registered approximately 600 startups, and this number keeps growing, of course. So we have the ability to see in which sectors and industries they operate, to know exactly which technologies they employ in order to achieve their goals, the revenue models, the business model, the maturity in terms of technology readiness level or business readiness level, their funding sources. So it's a very resourceful database. And the map can be shown here in this screenshot, where you can see which are the startups of Greece registered so far in that registry. And you can filter and see which companies are of your interest. So if there is a potential investor, he can find the sector that he's interested in and see how many funding rounds this company has received, how many employees it's received, and of course, he can go and find further details in each and every one of these startups if he clicks on the link and of each startup there. So the statistics of the Elevate ecosystem, which we have so far, is that quite impressively, life sciences is the #1 sector in Greece. You can see here the figures, and travel, hospitality, and leisure is the second one. Environment and energy is the third. Agritech and food tech comes fourth. Advertising and marketing, ads tech, followed by data analytics and big data, fintech, retail tech, manufacturing, and smart mobility, logistics, and transportation. And these are the preferred technologies from our startups. I'm not going to refer to them, just to have an idea of some information that we can find in them. So the startup ecosystem of Greece, if we come to Athens, we can see that 2/3 of the Greek startups are based in Attica region, which is the capital of Greece, in Athens. Athens has also the top sectors. The first is life sciences, and the second one is agritech and food tech, quite impressively, because it's not an agricultural area, but still that's the case so far. And we're very glad that according to Startup Blink's evaluation, Athens increased by 21 spots in the global startup ecosystem. You can see here the numbers. And at the same time, Greece, our country, increased by 6 spots in the global startup ecosystem too. And we hope that in the next year, we'll have even better results. Some of the recent startup community exits, we have Mobilium acquired Neometrics, Celonis acquired Q-Lenses, Greek companies. Sidecore acquired Nuzent, Meta acquired Acusonus. And of course, we have some good news. We have the first 2 Greek unicorns. The first is Viva Wallet, which is a neon bank based in Athens. And JP Morgan acquired the 49% stake in it. Another one is PeopleCert. PeopleCert is founded also in Athens. It is a leader in the assessment and certification of professional skills. And the good news is that we also have some Greek unicorns. We hope that in this year or the year to come, they will become unicorns as well. So the Greek government is trying to integrate the fragmented research, innovation, and startup ecosystem by connecting these circles. So you can see all the ecosystem actors in these slides. I'm not going to refer to them, of course, one by one, but you can understand that it's a very big challenge for a state to try to integrate this ecosystem into a powerful innovation mechanism. And also the public sector tries to support this ecosystem through the universities, the research centers, and other ministries. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to establish Greece as the powerhouse of innovation in the Southeast Europe by integrating all these actors that you can see in this slide. And we also have some good forecasts for the future, because in 2021, the Greek startup funding exceeded €500 million, and 80% of that capital went to 10 companies, very strong startups, a 30% increase in the number of startup companies which got funded, and the total number exceeded 70. So we have a not very big startup ecosystem, but it is growing in a quite fast way, and we believe that it will go exponentially in the years to come. And this is what we believe that we'll see in the next years. But if we see the broader view, we see that Greece has increased the GDP in the fourth quarter of 2021 compared to 2020 at a very high rate. The foreign direct investments have exceeded 200%. The exports have exceeded 25.4%, and there are impressive prospects for 2021 GDP growth by all the renowned global organizations. This is their reports, and also Greece has increased its EY attractiveness, Ernst & Young, which says that Greece is among the top 10 investment destinations in Europe, so it can also become a very good destination for startups coming from other countries as well. And this is a reason that Greece has, in the last 2 years, has attracted flagship foreign direct investments. You can see some logos here from JP Morgan, Pfizer, Microsoft, Cisco, Volkswagen, Applied Materials, Digital Realty, Amazon Web Services, Meta, and Celonis. And Greece is also, as I mentioned earlier, located in a very strategic position in Europe and Asia as well, and Africa. And this is among the reasons that Greece is considered as an investment hub. And so I would like to thank you for your attention. This is my name, my full name. This is the way you can reach me, and I will be very happy to receive your emails. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's always great to connect with you and great to have you. Before I present our next presenter, Mariano from Buenos Aires, if you have changed the name of your account, please change it again so we could identify and connect you again. We kept one of the best startup ecosystems of the world as our last presenter. Franklin, head of startup ecosystem for Invest Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is world's 16th top ecosystem and Brazil and South America's first or top ecosystem. They are ranked in top 15 in transportation, e-commerce, and retail. And there's so much more to hear from Franklin. Thank you for participating. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you for this kind invitation. My name is Franklin Ribeiro. I work for Invest São Paulo Investment Promotion Agency, and I represent the state of São Paulo in Brazil. So I guess my presentation is on the screen, right? So I will present some highlights about our entrepreneurial ecosystem. São Paulo state is the largest economy in Brazil. We consider that São Paulo actually is a nation with a nation. It is the third largest economy and consumer market in Latin America. And if it was a country by itself, it would be the 22nd largest economy in the world. There are 46 million inhabitants in the state of São Paulo, which is closer to Spain and Argentina. This represents 22% of Brazilian population, and this population is all located in only 3% of Brazilian territory. There are more than 70% of the qualified workforce in the country, and we will see some highlights about that, but part of this is also due to the immigrant diaspora, the community diaspora. For example, Japanese, Italian, and Lebanese communities who are the biggest communities outside their original countries in the world. And at the end, some 60% of the headquarters of Fortune 100 Latin companies are in the state of São Paulo. Considering the city of São Paulo, the ecosystem, FDI Intelligence Research considered São Paulo as the top 10 major American cities of the future in terms of economic potential. And we can see part of that by analyzing the city numbers, which is continuously bigger than Brazilian numbers in terms of GDP growth. Talents, we know that are essential component for the ecosystem. So in São Paulo, one may find the best universities. Actually, 3 of the 5 best universities in Brazil are located in São Paulo. The state spends more than $2.3 billion in R&D, which is much more than the other states. And because of that, as a result, we could see for every 3 doctoral students in Brazil, we could see 1 is in São Paulo. And regarding the private venture capital investment, São Paulo state has concentrated more than 80% of the capital invested in Brazilian startups in 2019. And this sum altogether, it's more than the sum of the investment that occurred in other Latin countries in the year of 2019. So because of that, consumer market talents, economic potential, R&D investments, private investments, all this makes São Paulo the cradle of future economies. So today we are ranked fourth biggest fintech ecosystem in the world. And we also stand out as almost half of the startups in different segments in comparison to Brazilian. So we stand out in health tech, retail tech, food tech, mobility startups, energy sector, and also Brazilian agri-techs, which we will soon find the first unicorn in this segment. There are more than 2,500 startups in our last mapping, and we are being considered as top global startup ecosystem ranking. Actually, we have just jumped 4 spots to rank 16th globally, and that's an outstanding achievement, as no other Latin America city ranks in top 40 in Startup Link ranking. And talking about unicorns, all of this scenario reflects the boom of unicorns that we are seeing, despite the fact that we have the first unicorn only in 2018. We are seeing each year more and more unicorns, and nowadays it's almost difficult to keep track of the new unicorns that are emerging in São Paulo. And Invest São Paulo wants to be the one-stop shop for companies. We do that by promoting investment in the state of São Paulo, by promoting exports for the cities, for the companies that are in São Paulo. We have provided training for more than 3,000 companies. We offer some innovation programs, and we have our innovation international offices. Since 2019, we opened office in Shanghai, Dubai, Munich, New York, and all these offices help with marketing research. They help promoting São Paulo abroad. They help with business missions and incubation for companies. We support internationalization with the following programs. We organize international missions, providing training, organizing visits to the local ecosystem, organizing business roundtable and pitch to investors. This year we had South by Southwest, Miami Tech Week. We are organizing London Tech Week, and we are going to Web Summit. Also, we are part of some global startup competition. So we represent Startup World Cup, which offers $1 million prize. And we also had a partnership with Macau government this year to select startups for their competition. Additionally, we have the SP Global program, which provides training and online immersion with European ecosystems. Besides of that, we have the SP Connect mentorship program, which helps connecting to mentors for funding, growth, and for governmental programs. There are another program that we call SP Connect Cities. In this program, we offer an online workshop with recommendation to develop the ecosystem that are around São Paulo. And we are also engaged with City Initiative, which is the implementation of an innovation district in partnership with the private sector. And for this, we have an open call for banks, for venture capital firms, big corporations to join this initiative. Thank you very much. São Paulo is a nation with a nation. We are headed to business.
Thank you, Franklin. It's great to hear about the nation inside the nation. I really look forward to see it someday. Thank you so much. Catherine?
Yes, thank you, Franklin, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. So as we mentioned a while ago, if you haven't downloaded our 2022 index yet, the link is on the chat. So you can download it at lp.startuplink.com/report. And you can also view the updated rankings on www.startuplink.com. So thank you everyone for joining us on our launch event.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or day.